I know we talked earlier before we were recording, like the doom and gloom look on the
Yeah.
real estate market right now. I know it's very hard for buyers to wanna pull the trigger on buying a
Yeah.
house. I mean, I can preach more than anyone. I just bought a house last year.
Mhm.
It's so, so, so important to get into
Mhm.
real estate if you can afford it. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the other way around because I do my best to try and educate as much as I can, escrow-wise and personally, because I just went through it, right? I went through the credit repair.
Yep.
I waited a little bit of time. I worked really, hard, and then I was finally ready to buy a house in whenever I did, July, October, November, sometime in 2023. Um, at the end of 2023, and it's so important. It's
Mhm.
so important if you can get in now, but let's talk about the other what's the word I'm looking for? Perspective. The other perspective on that. So
Mhm.
other than doom and gloom, rates suck, nobody can afford it, which I mean, has been our reality. What's
Mhm.
the spin on it?
Yeah, I love it's so crazy because I feel like what has happened, and it happens, and we see the cyclical, right, in real
Mhm.
estate,
Yeah.
is that you have I'm now the old lady in the room usually when I'm talking to people, and I remember being the 22-year-old, like, at the table, like, brand new here kinda thing. We have younger realtors, no offense to anyone younger.
Yep.
We've got newer people
None
that
taken.
right, okay.
I'm just kidding.
Um, okay, if you wanna put yourself in that boat. No, I'm just kidding. She is, but no, I mean,
I'm not.
realistically, we had a time, right, where the business came to us. We
Yeah,
didn't have to really door knock very much.
totally.
We were unfortunately, the industry shifted to being very transactional
Mhm.
and very and no more about the relationship driven
Right.
business. And I think this is really what sets people apart, right? Is if it's yes, we would all love the first time home buyers with 740 FICO scores to be
Mhm.
hopping in our boats and interest rates being, what they were.
And COVID was a big part of
Yeah.
too what happened with people losing their jobs and
Yeah.
things like
Totally,
that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think more than ever, your service is huge because a lot of people, even now that I talk to, even to this day, they still say, I went through a lot because of COVID,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and even though it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
wild.
We don't
but
have to feel that doom and
right,
gloom. And I think
yes,
realtors specifically will say, well, I don't have any business. And I'm like, that's because you're looking for the same type of client
hmm,
that doesn't exist.
right,
They will again, just
yeah,
not
Yeah,
forever. But to your point, they went through COVID and
hmm,
they had life events and,
right,
that triggers different things. And so
hmm,
to be able to say, listen, if credit is your only issue, quite
right,
frankly, you don't have issues
yeah,
because affordability, interest rates, we can't change those things today. They'll
right.
change.
right.
But if credit is the only thing keeping you from your dream of homeownership, then you do not have any issues because there's absolute
Oh,
solutions in
for
place.
sure. I mean, just how it's changed, because I know there's been
Yeah.
a lot of changes with credit
Yeah.
and it's going to be different with lending. And we don't have to go into too many
Uh-huh.
details, but I know that it's now a whole different thing on where rapid rescores may not be as easy to do
Hmm.
because of the whole 6 month history of how you're paying your
Yeah.
bills and what does that look like?
Yeah. So the mortgage industry in and of itself has had the same exact mortgage FICO score for
Mm-hmm.
almost 30 years.
Meaning a
Um,
requirement?
the same three scores. So FICO has
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah.
suite of
Right,
products that
right.
they
Mm-hmm.
offer, which is why your scores vary from, products that you're purchasing. You're like, wait a minute, my mortgage FICO score looks different than my auto FICO.
Right.
Right.
But we're taking an entire industry, and not me personally, so don't kill the messenger here. From one version of a score to an
Yeah.
entirely different one that looks at trended data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of the quick
Okay.
fixes that, and we'll talk more on
Mm-hmm.
a part two discussion on this. And I love this conversation that I have lots of calls on daily. But realistically, we're taking an industry from one version to another that's going to say, listen, you guys, rapid rescores, they're not gonna have the same leverage that they've
Mm-hmm.
always had,
Right.
and the example would be paying down credit card debt is not your magic bullet anymore.
Right.
So without going into more detail there are gonna be still some things that lenders can do, with using the rescore tools, but I guess my messaging is get in front of your buyers today.
Yep.
If you as a consumer looking at the camera, if you
Right
as a
there.
consumer
That's
or
it.
realtors or lenders
Yep.
have any interest in what your future pipeline looks like 6 months from now, 12 months from now, this is the time to start really doing a deep dive into your credit and
Yeah.
looking at it to
Yep.
say, okay, I want to be a homeowner, maybe not today,
Right.
but with the score
Yeah.
changes, they're going to be looking very heavily at the last 24 months
Yep.
Wow.
specifically.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now's the time to really start, being proactive.
Yep.
Wow.
That's my
And
messaging.
something that's really unique about
Excuse me.
guaranteed rate is we do soft pulls, so we can pre-approve you and everything right on soft pull, so it's not affecting your
Mhm.
score. So a lot of people are afraid of that, right?
Oh,
Because they
yeah.
know their score is already low
Mhm.
Little
and
plug
they're
there
not
for
ready
Katrina,
yet.
guarantee rate. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Good for
So
you.
we do
Yeah.
soft pulls and then they
Yeah.
can get a picture and look at everything,
Mhm.
and it won't affect their score. And then that's where if it's not there, we refer to you.